you guys get that message? Recording in progress.
Recording in progress. Wait.
Number two,
How many people watched the first one?
me. Did you guys
AJ was
watch it?
way better than any of us tonight. You look all clean cut and like you've had a good day.
I got a haircut since the last one, but
Me too.
Did
I
ya?
went
What you guys are?
I went
I got to get
snowboarding
ready for
today
next
though,
weekend.
so I that's why I'm wearing this gear because I did some snowboarding after
You guys
lunch.
have to go and look pretty though too. So
Yeah.
for sure.
What a start to the week we had this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a hey, we got to do our nice little plugs of demand prints and stuff in the beginning of our podcast here.
Okay, yeah, Demand Prints. I'm Paul. Way to go. Let's get started then.
Hey, hold
I'm
on one
Paul. I'm
second.
your moderator, and with me, as always, Terry the Magnificent and AJ the freshly haircut. AJ, did you have a good week, AJ?
What's your definition of good?
Oh,
This
I
week it's
survived.
pretty. This week it's pretty light. I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
hey, we
no, it
made it
was.
through.
I have nothing to complain about. Yeah.
I'll beep that out, but my beer just went all over the place. That's gonna make for a good start. Go on. I'll clean this up while you talk.
What are we talking about? Terry here. My week started out amazing and ended amazing.
Yeah.
That's all there is to say about it, with a few glitches in between. But
Yeah.
what matters is everything went great in the end.
Well, yeah, so I guess a good place to start this week is nothing like things don't always go perfect. Like opening that beer. I don't know if you can see, I just like my whole office smells like it is a nice beer though. It's a Saison. And I love a Saison. But was like woke up Monday morning and to we had a customer that was having a difficult time heat pressing stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Um
A lot of research done on that this week.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it sort of highlights for me that you can sort of do your best to do everything right, but you're gonna just like constantly have to learn and run into issues and problems. I mean, this was one that I'd never encountered before. Um, but I don't
Did
know.
we ever actually figure it out?
The only thing I've come down talking to techs, talking to owners,
Well,
talking
maybe
to,
before you get into that, describe what the problem
yeah.
was. I mean, AJ, if you start with you, like we had a call. I got a text from you like literally at 5 a.m. Monday morning is saying, I mean, maybe you just describe what we were
Well,
experiencing.
yeah. So, yeah, one of actually our first customers, super cool guy, down to earth, used us a handful of times before, no real issues. I got a text from him in the morning, kind of like, hey, the recent order, the big prints, for a big basketball tournament they're doing, they're not peeling well. They're like peeling off. And this guy's been in the game for a while, pretty smart. So I was kind of like, okay, like what's going on? So I immediately, yeah, it's nice when you can call or text your customers around 6 a.m. But anyway, I started chatting with him real quick about it. Kind of, he laid it out. I immediately got a hold of Terry. I was like, this is sounding a little fishy, nothing that I've like you, Paul, like troubleshooting wise on that true production side of things. I mean, that's really Terry's forte. So
Yeah.
obviously can reach out to her. She connected with our one of the other guys in the industry that, we always kind of lean on and started troubleshooting from there. 15 minutes later, we hopped on a phone call, chatting with him, Terry and I, just kind of trying to troubleshoot, really dive into what was he was dealing with. And 45 minutes later, we hopped off the call. He was going to kind of troubleshoot a little more based on what we talked about. We were going to rerun some Prince forms overnight them, and then that way he can kind of, actually make sure he has what he needs and whatnot. It's not that for the listeners, Prince were working. They just weren't working the
They
way
weren't
he
cold
had
field and hot field. Yeah.
yeah, the way he had expected them. And he's right. They weren't working like the previous ones he'd had. So it's not like we had to, the whole batch was ruined, but it was just not what he had expected.
Because he
And
was
it
like,
wasn't what we were trying to send him either. So we were also like, this is because Terry was running similar prints. We ran them in the shop that day, tested it. And so we went down this path of, was it the print? Was it the shipping? Was it the heat press? Is it the environment? Like, and so we kind of played this whole science experiment game to really figure out what it was.
because like
Yeah.
essentially he was running the heat press like the way he would normally do it, um, but then go to peel the substrate off and it wouldn't peel off well, or like the
Yeah.
print
So
itself would pull
essentially,
off the shirt. Was a print pulling off the shirt?
from the videos he was sending us and the pictures he was sending us, yeah, it was almost like when you go to peel the paper, with the hot peel, it's press, slide it off right away. And that's
Mhm.
the way we press and print everything. So it should work just like that. But what he was experiencing is even at, the appropriate press time, everything like he's done, and he even messed around a little bit with it too, because he understands that there's a little bit of variety to be had in some of it. So he was kind of like, maybe it's just XYZ. So, but no, yeah, when he would go to peel the paper, the edge would kind of
Yeah.
stick or even
Yeah.
roll with it again. And then you have to press again to like get it off, or he started to kind of learn if he let it cool, like you typically would a cold peel,
Cold
that it
peel.
would come off better. Still not great, but better.
Yeah. And then second press it, and then it's fine. I've done that before too and run into that problem. And, being in the industry for a long time, it kind of freaks me out. So I had some like that long time ago. Did them as a cold peel instead of a hot peel, and then brought them home and wash test them several times because you just really want to make sure, okay, is there something wrong with the decal? Is there something wrong with the adhesive? When somebody gets this, takes it home, they're going to wash it. Is it going to fall off? So, you
Mhm.
go to the extent of testing it after that also, just to make sure. Um, because like we've
Yeah.
always said, may not be our issue, but it's always our problem. Um, or
And
vice versa. Whether it's been long. So,
I'm sure some people, all the listeners out there, the three of us that listen to it again are going, well, it's obviously this thing, or it's obviously that thing, or the platins were just losing temperature, or all these things. And just for everybody out there, like, yeah, we get that. Like, we have had 3 or 4 techs on the phone, 25 plus years of Terry's experience. This guy is not a newbie to the scene either. Like, we were running like full on, like, all right, let's try this. Let's freeze some prints and try them in the morning. Maybe it was shipping over because he's in a cold climate.
yeah.
Like, we were, you
100%. Try
know,
everything,
it
Yeah,
wasn't
well,
like oh, you just need to push harder or hold it longer. I mean, like, we were doing like, all right, we're doing 310 for 6 seconds, 310 for 8 seconds, 310 for 10 seconds, 310 for 12. Okay, now let's go to three. Like, we were running every combination of print time and heat press and pressure and rechecking the level, the temp on the platen pre and post press, and the same thing on the t-shirt. And so
Oh, we've been
just so everybody
testing,
knows.
looking at it. If we over cured, under cured, and none of that had happened,
Yeah.
and then I actually had a tech in shop this week too, and went over it with them again the next day, and just kind of spitballing different ideas of things to try, things it would have been. Because this happens so much in the industry, maybe not this specific thing. I mean, it could just be the quality of the prints, the color of the prints, this and that. The fact is, you want to be able to be accessible to your customers and be able to talk about things and have them tell us what's going on so that we can fix the problem, figure out the
Yeah.
problem if we
And
can. I mean, to the point we were checking lot numbers on the film and, sending that in
mhm.
to the owners and
Yeah,
different
I mean, and
so,
yeah.
luckily this guy had planned ahead enough to where, we were troubleshooting this issue on a Monday morning,
mhm.
and he needed stuff for this coming weekend, for a
Yeah.
basketball tournament. So plenty of time to, you know, fix, modify, game plan, set up a process, in which we are. We're good to rock and roll. I just heard from him not too long ago. Um,
Did you? Grump?
They're all good. Well, it's interesting because, um, man, I learned more about just the heat pressing side of things and some of just the chemistry of things that I never knew before. And first of all, it seems like we were able to get a protocol that would work. And what that protocol ended up being was, I think, you need to press at 320, this much pressure for this much time, wait, then kind of cool, peel it off. And then when you're done, just do like one more press. Then that way it kind of got set. And it was a bit of a hassle where like normally the inks and the adhesive and everything we've got in the substrate, it's hot peel. And that's how it should work. Now, then there was a question about the fabric because we learned that sometimes the different types of fabric, if they have a certain like,
Silicone
microplastics or something like
content.
that in them, that can be a little bit can create a problem. And so you're sort of troubleshooting blind a little bit. You have to ask a few questions about what kind of fabric are you on. Then also they had
I
a
was
clamp-based heat press, and we weren't so sure about that because what confused me, Terry, was
Mhm.
you took the exact same print,
Yep.
like we reprinted the same one and overnighted it, and then you took the exact same print that he had, and
Yep.
with your hydraulic press, you go down, and it was what, 320 for 15
27
seconds,
seconds. 7 seconds.
7 seconds,
Mhm.
absolutely perfect. He does the same thing and literally like the same prints off the same machine with the same everything being even, and then he does it for the same amount of time, and then it doesn't work, and we're like, okay, clearly, like we've done this in our shop, we know it's not the print, but even though it's not the print, we're still going through. Hey, Hansel, I'm on the podcast.
So, hi. You're
special
adorable.
guest.
Get the paper.
He's got to at least come in and answer questions about DTFs now.
Okay,
Ask
Yeah.
him if he knows what
you-
DTF stands for.
No. Love you.
I'm gonna leave that in. I'll lock the door next time. Where was I? Oh,
That won't be fun.
no, I'm not going to edit that out. I'm going to leave that. I'm going to leave that right in there. So I guess the point I was making is like, you know, Terry, you sort of said, hey, it's not our problem, but
I
it is
can't remember how I always word
what
it
is it? What
wrong.
do we say?
It's
It's like
always
it might
a
not be our fault, but it's still our problem, right? So
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we I'm glad we could kind of get it troubleshoot for him and then like just turn this into a learning experience for us about like, well, it does matter what kind of heat press you have. It does matter temperature, pressure. It might matter what the humidity is, what fabric you're going on. So while there is kind of a standard protocol for like 320, 7 to 10 seconds, hot peel it, do a quick repress, you're done, like move on. Like sometimes, you know, you've got to play with it a little bit and then you get it right. It works 99% of the time, but there's that 1% of the time where you
Yeah.
go play with it.
I think I was obviously thinking about this throughout the week because I'm kind of the middleman, right? Like in trying to answer a lot of these questions for people
You're
when
the one that customers call.
yeah, well, yeah, and it's good. And
Yeah.
a lot of times, as I learn more and more and more, and I've learned a ton from you already, Terry. I'm always trying to go like, how can I not have to call Terry to answer this question? And like you said, Paul, like despite this not going well for us, I learned way more in the last 4 or 5 days on troubleshooting issues than I would if we'd had a record month of sales with no problems. It didn't really get us any further. But as a business, I think this, and as a resource. And I think this made us a lot more powerful and being able to be those people for anybody that's having these issues. And it kind of reminded me of like back when I was doing medical sales. So in the operating room, dealing with like this and having docs throwing hammers at you when things don't go wrong. And
Did a
I'm like,
doctor
no, I'm
really
like,
throw a
oh
hammer at
yeah,
you?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Like
one, so
in the
Why
in
ER.
is
the
there a
OR,
hammer in the operating room?
what Terry and I seriously uh, orthopedic surgery is literally just
Surgery. We're the
certain
ones with drinking beer, AJ, and you're like, oh, orthopedic surgery.
it's basically Lincoln logs in the body, drills, saws, screws, plates. That's all it
Oh,
is. It's just building a house in the body. They're just like construction workers and with bones. Yeah. So seriously, and so basically, like I can prep for all the surgeries all the time because again, I'm the one in the background saying, grab this, do this next. This is how it works. And as a person, I don't get to scrub in, so I'm telling the doc and the PA and the kind of like we were doing with him, like
yeah.
like I wish I could just stand there and try this, but we're trying to get him to understand our thought process. And when you line things up and they go smooth in the surgery, like perfect, home run. And that happens the vast majority of the times. But in this one instance, or some instances, like it's almost you don't know what you don't know until you don't know, right? Like you
Yeah.
go in there thinking you have three other plans when something goes wrong, and then the one thing goes wrong, you're like, I don't, now what the fuck do we do? But anyway, so this one time I was in surgery and we have this complicated piece that like reams your glenoid out. It's basically smooths out the surface, but it's like 17 pieces to put together, super complex. But you put it together pre-surgery, and then the doc uses it on the shoulder, and it is a finicky device, and sometimes it's a little tricky to use. And one time it just wasn't working right, and it was not the right doc to have it not right work right with because time's money, people, somebody's on their end. It wasn't working. I'm like, try this, try that. And and he's like, he threw it across the room like this against the wall. And he's like, if I wanted to play arts and crafts, I would have done it in my garage this morning. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know what to tell you. And we don't have another one of those.
Oh man.
And so
I
then
mean,
it was like, hey, we now we have to go to plan B. I know you didn't want to, but we have no issue. So the worst part was not the worst part, but so I'm like sweating bullets in there, right? Like this guy's never going to use us again. He's one of our biggest customers. This shit show. Like anyway, surgery ends up going just fine. Person comes out, blah 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 blah, and I'm out in the hallway after it, waiting for him to come out like we usually do, and you kind of debrief real quick. And he comes out, and I'm like, just puckered, like ready to cry, right? Like, hey man, real sorry about how things went in there. Like, I wish I knew what was going on. We'll make sure we have another one of those backup. He's like, no, great surgery. We'll see you in the next one, and walked away. And I was like, what the?
I mean, the good thing
Like,
is the
So now I'm
customer,
like, all right, so you're not gonna have a t-shirt this weekend? I'm fine. Nobody's gonna
yeah.
die. I appreciate it. Yeah, sorry. But
No, I mean, and the customer we're dealing with, great person, and
mhm,
on the same page with us, wanting to figure out what's going
yeah.
on.
But
You
these
know,
troubleshooting issues are fun, like it's like, all
yeah,
right, I enjoy that and the
it's
learning
mind
side of
bending
it.
a
So
little bit, but I
so
mean, it kind
yeah.
of all comes down to, there's always a chance of something going wrong. And that's what we kind of discussed this week too, of, it's always good to test when you get something in.
Mhm,
Always good to have an extra, which we always put extras in the pack when we do
mhm.
stuff out.
Yeah, yeah. And like
And
we
it's a
always
good
kind of with
habit to get into. I do it in my own shop.
yeah, and with these learning things, every time we're, or when something, even if it's a small thing comes up, it's like, well, how can we prevent that from happening again, right? Like, so it's like,
Yeah.
oh, we're going to change our instructions on the packaging. Oh, we're going to make sure that they, you know, pre-press just to check, like send in the extras. So it's like, again, and trying to solve the problem before they happen and ensuring that when the problem A comes up, problem B and C are already solved for them, and we have a quick, efficient answer that's not going to limit production or productivity time or make them not rely on us. If anything, make us more of a solid foundation and offer for
Yeah.
whoever's
yeah,
looking.
And the reason I say the whole testing part is because, 80% of the time you're doing a $3 t-shirt, but there's that one time you're doing a $40 Nike sweatshirt and, maybe in your head, let's test this first before we ruin a $40 sweatshirt just because,
yeah.
so
I mean, the FA in the world of aviation, um, the
Ridiculous.
FAA has that like Swiss cheese safety model, right? Where like the first sort of accidents that have happened, there's holes and some, a unique set of circumstances occurs that creates a problem, that creates an accident. It's like all these accidents that you read about are typically like a unique set of circumstances that come together in a unique way. And one bad decision leads to another, and then all of a sudden you have an accident. Well, the FAA figures out like, where was that hole? And they're like, let's add another layer of safety to plug that hole. So you can imagine like every layer of safety is like a Swiss cheese. And that's why they call it the Swiss cheese model. Eventually you stack enough slices of Swiss cheese on top of each other, none of the stuff falls through. It sounds, maybe I'm not explaining the metaphor very well, but that's literally what the FAA calls it, is like this Swiss cheese safety model, because they know they can't catch everything. And so it's just like
yeah.
you have
Mhm.
the things that you learn, the things that you fix, the protocols you put in place. So like you were saying, Terry, why do we send, if you order 10, why do we send 12? If you and maybe you've got a thick sweatshirt, and humidity's high that day and it's a little cold outside, and maybe just pre-warm up your shirt before you put it on there. And then like 9 times out of 10, you don't have to do it, but maybe there's some moisture in the material.
Yeah.
By the way,
Yeah.
so like we tried to figure this out. You literally took the same print, put it
Yep.
in the freezer overnight because we thought, okay, well, we shipped it,
Yeah.
maybe it was cold.
Well,
Like
and it
happened.
wasn't the same print. So the one print I took off that I sent to him, I printed off the printer off the same roll also of film, pressed it right as it came off the printer. From what I thought, it pulled fine. When I showed it to the tech that came to the shop this week, he's like, I don't think it did pull fine.
Yeah.
There he could hear a noise, he could hear something, and he goes, and then you shipped it to him. He did the exact same thing. He used the exact parameters I did. Um, and he was having the exact same problem.
Hmm.
So that's where when I was talking to the tech, he's like, sometimes when you pull it directly off the printer, the chemicals in the film haven't had
Yeah.
time to settle or cool or anything like that. So he goes, that could be an issue. And he goes, I mean, in his head, he came down to it was the roll. And that's going to happen sometimes too. That's why I say, I've looked through forums, I've talked to other people. There has been times that you have a bunk roll. That's why too. It's not like the prints are ruined. They just come off as if they're cold peel. That's why
Yeah.
another factor of let maybe test things.
So if it's not hot
See this
peeling, treat it like cold peel. We don't want it to be that way, but sometimes it may be a rare occasion where
rare
sometimes
occasion.
that
Yeah.
that could happen. And then the thing we talked about today too, AJ, we haven't mentioned this to you yet, but um, we are going to be adding to just our backend logistics sort of platform. Every time that we print, we're going to note the what do you call it?
The
There's
lot.
like every role has like its own, every role has an individual ID number. We're
Yeah, a
actually going
lot
to be
number inside
marking a
roll.
lot number. We're going to be
Yep.
marking the lot number on
We
every
know.
single so we'll know when we send somebody a print.
Yeah.
If they have a problem, we know exactly what lot number it is. We can share that with the manufacturer. If we need to, we can troubleshoot it. And then
We
if
can
we have,
also be able to reach out to the other customers that
yeah,
had
exactly.
prints
Mhm.
from that lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they had prints from that. That's the first thing they asked me when I called the manufacturer of the film too, was like, okay, inside the roll, there's a lot number. We want the lot number, because I'm sure they're testing that as well. And, if they have other customers calling in and saying, hey, this lot number of, rolls is having issues, then it's
Yeah.
like, I mean, stuff's gonna happen. Everybody needs to
Yeah.
know. You
Did,
listen
did
and
I
look at
ever?
these forums and there's so much of the same conversation going on.
Mhm.
But let's be real
I-
about it. It happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's the efficiency of solving the problem, right? And,
Yeah,
and
100%.
understanding how to rectify it. And we
Yeah.
haven't had it yet, but maybe it is like, you know what, we're just gonna reprint them and reship them. Like
Yeah.
that's our fault. Something happened. That kind of deal. Did I ever tell you guys about the time I opened $120,000 worth of orthopedic implants in a surgery and had
No,
to
but
throw
I
them all
definitely
away?
want to hear this story.
I do
Dude,
too.
this is a better surgeon. So it just remind me of the lot number. Okay, so orthopedic devices, they're all manufactured. They come in like really nice packaging, like heat sealed, whatever. But they all have lot numbers, product numbers, so they can trace everything back. And that way, when they go into somebody too, like if they have infections or something, they can pull lot numbers out, know where it came from. Anyway,
Yeah.
big tracing process. So similar to what we're kind of doing. So it's a total shoulder replacement. So there's a stem that goes in, and then there's a ball head, blah, 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 bunch of pieces. And so, you fit it all and then you pull it out and you're like, all right, I got this size, this size, that. And that's when I start grabbing things and, they go to the surgery and then they open them up and then they start implanting them. And the doc comes over, they open something on the surgery table, the pops on, doc looks at it and he goes, what's this white stuff on the stem? And I'm like, walk over there. I'm like, it's like faint little white, I mean, he had to be looking, but I'm glad he did. I'm like, I don't know. Like he's like, I don't know if I really want to put this in. Like if we don't really quite know what this is, like I'm like,
Yeah.
and at that point you're like, cool, fine. I've got another one outside, right? Like plan B, plan C, like I'll get it, we'll bring it in. So I go get that. That happens, that's fine. We send it back to the manufacturer. Nobody gets charged for that. Like it's not like, oh, if someone's getting charged for this. Grab the next stem, plop it on the table. MA opens it, hands it to the doc. Doc goes like, "This one's got it too," right? And I'm like, "What the?" And so he's like, "I don't know what's going on." And so actually somebody else was doing shoulders across the hall. Somebody I'd worked with, our stuff too, ran over there like, "Hey, you guys ever?" And honestly, for all we know, that stuff could have been there forever. And today this doc just started looking at them precisely and noticed it, right? Like we're not quite sure. Anyway, so I had three of those size stems. Okay. A, B, and C. So we go through all three of those have the white little flakes on, right? And now I'm like, well, and so when you run out of stems, you have two options. There's normal size stems and then there's long stems. Okay. The long stems have the same fit at the top, so you're not wrecking bone, but they have to go a little deeper. Okay. So he's like, that's fine. We'll go with a long stem. Not going to be a big deal because I have two of those. Before we even measure, blah, 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 I go grab the long stems and I'm no joke, sprinting down the hallway, sprinting up the stairs into our room, finding these, running down. Like I'm sending texts, like sending pictures out to every rep in the country. Like, you guys ever seen this? La, da, da. Wait. So anyway, what ends up happening is every stem we open that day, 14 of them has this white little film on it, right? Ultimately, the doc ends up, we take one of the implants, they flash it for 15 minutes in this like incubator thing, kills everything in it, right? And I've got the like product guy in Minnesota on the phone talking to the doc on speakerphone. He's like, "Yeah, it's probably fine. Usually, when we vacuum seal it, there's those white
It's
things in there.
surreal.
It might pull full little things." And I'm like, "Okay, man, like
Yeah.
I'm looking at all the stuff on the table going like, we've dropped stuff before and it's fine. It just gets written off. But like we're 14, like what is gonna happen? Like this is a lot of inventory.
This is all my commission. This is
Like where are we going with like what is gonna happen? Anyway, so they flash it, they put it in, person turns out fine, surgery turns out fine. But Jesus. And so then, they're like, well, what lot number is it? And they're trying to track all these lot things down. They're opening other things to see if this is a consistent deal. But anyway, that's my lot number story. So, and now
well,
they went back and they found that just basically every stem in that size batch had that in it. And it was just a result of like the electrostatic stuff because these implants come with like a foam little circle that suspends it. And so the little foam particles, just when they got like vacuum sealed, were like charged and they stuck to it. So all you had to do was like wipe it off. And then when it's inside that vacuum sealed thing, as long as it's not broken, it's sterile. Like totally fine. Doc had
But
never noticed that before and was a little curious. And honestly, every doc probably doesn't notice. And so now when you're not sure, you're like, what do we
that
do?
makes me feel good because I had like now I have all that titanium in my right leg and in my left arm. I'm like, do I have styrofoam flakes?
Now you're fine. You wouldn't know if you did.
Like I'm probably pretty fine. Just like they're deep.
That's okay. Most people get better with fake surgeries anyway, so
I'm pretty sure mine wasn't fake
big.
at the end of the day. But yeah,
But sorry, so to that point, that's the lot story. So I totally get the like tracking the lot
tracking the
number stuff
lot. I
and
mean,
all that.
because things can be made, mistakes can be made in every step of this somewhere.
yeah.
And, you know, it
Mm.
can,
Yeah.
in the end,
Well,
we want to not sound like we're trying to just blow somebody off,
No, no.
don't want to say something like that's how what I was saying to you is like, I know they're giving me these things, but just even saying it to you makes me feel like, oh, I'm just saying something to smooth this over. That's really not what I'm doing. It's like I enjoy delving into every aspect of this as
Hmm.
well and
but
trying
Terry,
things.
you okay, so like I've seen a lot of people talk about DTFs in this kind of like decorator. What do you call it? I just call them screen printing shops. I guess
Yeah.
the official
I
term
mean,
is like
I still
decorator
do
apparel. Okay,
custom
fine.
t-shirts,
Custom
custom
t-shirts,
apparel.
decorator apparel
Yeah.
industry. But they're like, oh yeah, DTFs are just full of problems. They're unreliable, they're undependable. Like I generally don't believe that. But I actually think this is uh just as real. I think this is quite reliable. And the things we're talking about here is like us just saying highlighting that, there's things that can occur and you have to deal with it. Even in the most professional space, like you were saying, AJ, right? Like you're in a orthopedic surgery. environment where you've got highly trained individuals from like PAs to the surgeons to the rep that's in there with you to all the prep, and you still run across this, but like we're talking about that like once in a while when we see things and trying to use those to improve our protocols to make things better. But then I think, okay, Terry, you've been doing this for a long time before DTFs, and you're doing it with just like screen printing. You had to
Yeah.
have like had
A
similar
lot of
issues with
issues.
screen
Yeah.
printing.
Oh yeah,
That's
you have a
the
lot of
thing you've got to learn. Like,
yeah.
so when if you had to like compare the things we're dealing with DTFs to what you had to deal with screen printing, how do those things sort of, if I'm asking the questions right, I'm just trying to say like taking apples to orange comparisons of like screen printing to DTFs running into similar problems. Like you had to have run into these problems with
Don't run
screen.
into exactly similar problems, but problems are a lot easier to fix with DTFs because the process is a lot quicker. Let's say you're doing a t-shirt and you're doing a 5 color screen on a t-shirt, and you have some alignment issues or ink issues or different things are under curement. Um, get that out to the customer, then you have to replace 2 or 3 of them, and then you got to go back and burn 5 more screens, tape 5 more screens, set 5 more screens up, do that for 2 t-shirts. Like with DTF, it's a lot different where it's like you can just fix the problem. Kind of how we look at it, like, what do we do to fix the problem? And then we'll figure it out later. Let's just get it taken care of because it's always a time issue too with printers and events and basketball events, like what we were doing with this. It's like, no, first and foremost, let's just get you out some new stuff. Let's figure out a routine like we did with this customer on how to make this work. And then let's research into this.
Yeah,
Problems are a lot easier to fix with
I
DT.
think I think a couple things you have to remember, like this is an evolving technology. When screen printing first started, absolutely everybody was trying to figure it out. The thing that I think, my opinion, is slightly different is screen printing. The process of screen printing is kind of just what everybody's known. And once you get into that industry, you have to be able to do all those things. So no matter what, you're always learning and troubleshooting in your own shop. And I think as DTFs have come along, screen printers or people that are getting into the industry and just want to use DTFs think that it's a very simple boom, 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 done. And a lot of times it can be that way, but there is a degree of science on two sides of it now, right? There's a science on the how do we create high quality prints, right? From the like in the shop, both from the art design to the sending to the printer, they having the rights, colors, tones, all that stuff. So there's one side of it, and then there's the side of it of the application side. And again, for the most part, the application side, which is like what we're seeing with people who are starting to use more DTF or transitioning from screen printing to DTF. Again, maybe expect it to be a little simpler than it is, and they might troubleshoot a little bit, but they don't ultimately have the capabilities because they don't have printers in shop to troubleshoot the other side of it. And so I think that's where they get kind of this confusion in my just perspective of dealing with people. And so because they don't have the reps of having to like fix it all the time or make the micro changes, nor do they have the capabilities to do that in shop. They have to rely on somebody else. But when they come from a standard screen printing situation, they know their machines, they know how they work, they know how to make the micro nuances, and now they're kind of having to rely on somebody else. So there's this like there again, it's kind of like going from the VCR to the DVD player. Like when the
Yeah.
DVD player came out, if you were 12 years old, you knew how to use the DVD player, and you had to teach grandma and grandpa how to use it. Not that grandma and grandpa couldn't use it, it was just different. It was new. The VCR still worked. The DVD player was just a different process, a little different technology. Sure, it had its hiccups right away too, right? And when the CD skipped or scratched, grandma and grandpa were pissed, but they didn't quite know how to troubleshoot it.
I had to
And
call
so,
you.
but yeah,
I had
exactly.
a
But now,
Betamax. I don't know what this
yeah,
VHS stuff is.
I
10
thought for sure
years,
Paul would pipe
10
in about the
years,
whole
Like I
the
have a laser disc player.
yeah, the 10 years after grandma and grandpa have a DVD player and they're having issues because they've had reps,
Now they have
right? And they're like,
Netflix
I
and
can't believe, yeah, yeah,
they
exactly.
call you. They're like, where the internet goes down, and they're like, Netflix isn't working. It's
Mhm.
like, well, is the internet up? I don't know.
Oh,
I
I thought for sure, Paul, you would jump in with the whole pizza franchise story of when I first started screen
oh
printing.
my
And
God. That is a hilarious story.
it
Like,
is. We'll get into that one a different
let's save
time.
that one
That
for
would
a
have been
different
a
moment.
back,
But
how old? 19, 18 years old?
yeah.
Yeah. That
But
was the
I
first.
wanted to talk about AJ, what you were saying is like it is hard because there's a certain part of the end-to-end process that you lose. I'm going to use like a nerd word here, agency over, right? You
Yeah,
lose
control.
control over where you're like, hey, and I could understand this frustration where you're like, okay, I did the artwork right. I got it to my printing partner. And then I got it back and I had the right t-shirts and then something didn't work. And then you know that, hey, I did the artwork right. I'm doing the heat pressing right. There must be something wrong with the print that got sent to me. And that if you don't own a printer and so forth, could be very frustrating because you're like, how do I fix this? So somebody's got to be on the other end of the phone, like we were with this customer this week, to, all right, let's troubleshoot this. Let's figure this out. I mean, if you're just doing it as a hobby and you're making a shirt for like a birthday party or something, great. But like this guy's doing several hundred shirts for a basketball tournament on a time schedule, and like
Mhm.
part of the process that you don't own end to end like you did with screen printing, and that could lead, I think, to some frustration, which is why I think we take issues like this. We have to take issues like this really seriously every time it comes along to say, all right, what do we do to make the process better? And
Mhm.
I was really happy that the manufacturer got on the phone with this. Like the printer
Yeah.
manufacturer gets on the phone with this, the people making the inks and the consumables, we literally were able to get everybody on the phone. Plus, you had the tech
In shop.
in
Yeah.
shop this week, and um, I think what people can expect now is we're going to be putting together like an entire sort of like series on this on the site too, just to have sort of like troubleshooting content, things like that. Um, I feel like this was a bit of a weird edge case that just happened. In a way, it was a bummer to wake up Monday morning to that, but in a way, I'm happy it happened, and it's been a frazzled week.
You don't learn unless there's issues. So
Yeah, so that's kind of how we. I feel like that's kind of how we took this one. Uh, yeah,
and
and
now, even testing before items go out,
I was kind of I don't know if I wanted to bring it up on here, but I was almost wondering if there was if we pre-press one of everything that goes out.
I started doing that today.
Yeah,
Actually. Yeah.
just curious.
I
Yeah.
mean, just started even every so much on the rolls. Just because too, the new equipment that we got in just produces so much more in such a quicker time frame with such high quality on it now.
I
That's what I
love it
was
when
doing
you say
today
that because it's
before
like,
I
yeah, our quality wasn't that great before,
Oh no, it was. We
which
just didn't
totally
have
wasn't the
we didn't
case.
have the expander capabilities, the color expanders, the fluorescent capabilities. I was just playing with that this
Yeah,
week of like having a family member of ours create some artwork with some neon coloring in it so I could rip it with expander fluorescent ICC profiles to see how bright and brilliant these are, which I did send you some of those this week, and they'll be available at the show as well
so
too,
we're gonna
because
be
I
taking those to the
print.
show.
Yeah, I did do prints for handouts too for those for the show as well as press shirts to see it on a black background. I mean, but the how I would say it like the bright yellows, the safety green colors that are popping out of this with the fluorescent capabilities that are in this new equipment is just amazing. Um, I was, geeking out on it all week too, so or the last couple days. So
Yeah, despite the fact that you've been clearly working hard and been super tired, we talk every day, and
or don't
you've
forget the
been more
helmet.
excited. You've been more excited than I've heard you in a long time, and I think that's a good transition to
Yeah, we should have a segment on the show about what's Terry's blood pressure today. We started
dude.
on the first
We
one.
can bring my husband in on this. I had him involved in it too.
It
And
was
like
dangerously high. Like I think
when
AJ
we
almost
were,
had a heart
Yeah.
attack when you when you told him what it was. He's
well, I've
like,
never had high blood
maybe
pressure. Like
maybe you should go
people in our
home.
Well,
family
that you know
literally
of.
Our
Oh my
family
God.
has, or else on our mom's side has chronic low blood pressure. I don't know what yours is, but my daughter's is that way. Our grandma Gigi's was that way, and it was just how they were through their entire life. And I've always had great blood pressure, and I tested it because I felt a little strange, and I was like, "Oh, is that high? I don't know."
Like what, 300 over 200,
No,
I
it
think.
wasn't that high.
Oh my God.
But the
Well,
next morning it was down, my husband, but after that he was at the shop this morning cutting decals and helping out. So,
I know you guys were cutting decals all day. It's like you
we
printed
were.
twice as fast, but the order was so big, you guys were cutting decals all day.
Oh, 54,000 square inches in an hour and 25 minutes.
Yeah, that was nice. That's
Full,
nice.
full color, full everything. It was amazing.
Well,
Yeah.
they're
It
gonna
was-
appreciate getting that where it just comes in the package, you
Mhm.
just get it and press it, and like,
Yeah.
they don't have to spend the time to do it, and
And press tested and everything.
ready to
Yeah.
go.
Ready to go out the door.
Yeah. And
So,
so now, I mean, I don't know if anybody's listening to this podcast. We're going to be at
Help.
it's our first show. I mean, I say that because it's number two. Like, I don't expect
hey,
a lot of people are
the
Yeah.
one
listening.
girl that works for me, Tasia, that does some of our media stuff, she watched it.
Well, yeah, because
Nice.
she gets paid to watch it.
Well,
That's
and I mean, she is kind of on the inside, so yeah, I mean, like, probably
yeah.
is good for her to watch it.
She
Yeah.
probably just watched it to see how much of a dork I made of myself. So so she
Yeah,
can give me crap
not
at
too
work.
much of a dork.
Yeah.
But we're going to go to Long Beach this week. It's our first show. Um, because we were in development kind of for a little over a year, and then we sort of launched Demand Prints in a private beta for a couple of months. Around May of last year, we
Yep.
rolled into more of a public beta where we just really weren't talking about what we were doing. July-ish, and then we kept it pretty chill through the end of the year. We got a lot of feedback from our customers, and shout out to a lot of our
Yeah,
early customers like Jackson Hole and here in Bozeman and a
definitely.
few other places in Iowa that really gave us a tremendous amount of feedback. And now that we've really been able to work out a lot of like features and bugs and stuff like that. We're gonna be in Long Beach this week. Uh, we've had some challenges with Long Beach because the place we're going to stay is like right in the middle of the fire zone,
Yeah.
or at least it's close enough to it that we would be driving through that area to get there. So then we had a last minute
Yeah.
like
He was.
Airbnb.
Yeah. When I talked to him this week too, he said it was like he's like, yeah, I was thinking like it's like because of all the changes in traffic and people moving around right now. He's like to where you guys are trying to go. It's probably a 2 hour trip one way, and
Yeah,
so wouldn't. Yeah, we probably shouldn't have stayed out there. It'll be better to go out there and hang out with him, and we can bring bikes anyway.
yeah. No, that'd be cool. And if we get a chance sometime during the week, if we could actually just drive up and say hi, we still have the vehicles.
We totally can do that, or he said they might come down too if we want to try to meet up and like grab dinner or do something like that too. So
Yeah, tell them we've got
And
we got a
I'm
four
gonna be in
bedroom
Iowa.
we got a 4 bedroom place, and we're only using three of them in the Airbnb. So
we
I
can do a Zoom call, Terry, if you want. We can do our next
Oh,
podcast Friday from the
Friday
from
from,
the
yeah, that would be awesome.
yeah.
live from the what do they call those things you do barbecues on?
Grill.
Like from the grill.
Patios.
Like from the patio. I don't know. My
We
husband
do
just walked
barbecue
in
on, we do
too.
barbecue on a
Kenny, what is
grill.
it? Is it supposed to be cold and snowy here this week or?
Dude, it's gonna be like
Yeah, it'll be a
minus
good
Two
10.
week for us to be
negatives.
gone.
Negative.
Yeah.
Negative, negative here. So you
But
guys
yeah,
will be in the negative,
we'll be in
negative.
a good spot. I'm psyched to, I've been kind of jokingly say we're going fishing, right? Like throwing some bait, seeing what bites, seeing what the
Yeah.
waters are like, seeing what kind of fish are out there.
Yeah.
Definitely think
You
you
know,
should end the podcast with the picture of Paul's outfit he's wearing at Long Beach this week.
Oh, I'm not gonna do that. I had a sport
Nah.
coat, sweatpants, I had big outdoor like rubber boots made by Schnees. I thought it would be fun, but I think I'm gonna normalize it a little bit.
Well, I would hope so, but
But I think our goal for the show this is awareness. So people, hey, here's who we are. Come check us out. Want to do some demos. Obviously we want to pick up some customers, but honestly, my big goal is it's going back to the very first thing we started doing, Terry. We're gonna have our media guy there, and I really want to get people to come by the booth, and I want to demo the service, but I just hope we really find people that have been in the screen printing business for a long time that will be willing to spend some time and say, I like this, but I don't understand that. And I'd really like this would really help make my business work better every day. And even some of those little things are fantastic to see. Like, hey, Terry, the one of the things, or maybe it was AJ, I can't remember which one of you guys had mentioned this to me, and then we did it, and then we got great feedback on it. And it was a very small thing, but it was just let's brand our manifest. Let's debrand the receipt, and let's make sure that all the packaging we send doesn't have demand prints all over it, that it needs to be kind of incognito in a way. And I thought it's something I'd never thought about, but our couple of our customers had mentioned it, and then I did it, and then I actually met with one of our customers one time and just mentioned that to him, and he was like, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense, because I work with a lot of people that get DTFs, different companies, and he was like, I hate it when the packages come and they're just like big branded cardboard.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't need my customers to see that, and sometimes I drop ship this stuff and I want them to go through me, and I was like, so it was almost like, yeah, that's fine. Like, so that's the kind of feedback I think, not only on
Yeah.
features, but just on coming from the shop. I hope we pick a lot of that up at the show this week, chatting with people. Um, and then we've got a couple of partners there, and making a couple of connections, and maybe finding a few people to jump on the podcast with us as well. We've got kind of somebody who wants to jump on the podcast in the industry. That'll be very interesting. I don't want to mention his name, but
J-Lo? Oh no.
yeah, J-Lo.
J-Lo? Yeah. Hmm.
But I think people would really be interested to hear what this person has to say if we could get them on the podcast. So I think that's what I'm hoping to get out of the show is a lot of feedback to help make this better for everybody.
Yeah, I want to see, besides the people I'm on the phone with, the ones we've developed a real, kind of just good relationship as
Yeah.
individuals with, like when people come by and obviously have never heard of us, and lined up against the bigger players, and we show them the process, right? And I think honestly at the show, that's our biggest differentiator is our service, how you're going to get your DTFs, in addition to how we're doing probably the quality side of the DTF is probably going to be one of our distinguishers. But I think when you put the DTFs on the table next to one another with the other people there, that might not be our biggest home run. But when we look at what it's going to go in for people who are using DTFs to get them and the process and the price and how that service helps them holistically as a business and then as an individual. Yeah, I'll be curious to see the individual's response of like, oh, this doesn't matter, or oh wow, like this is totally, yeah, I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
just kind of curious what bait's gonna work and what people are gonna bite on
bait.
and what people are interested in.
We're trying to reel you in and
They're
eat you.
first.
That's what we're trying to do. Yes.
Educate. I mean, that's just a big thing that, we want to know what we need to educate people about too. So,
Yeah.
and what they're
We
thinking.
need to we want to know what people need. I mean, in
Yeah.
reality, again, we're a service that's at the foundation. We're a service that helps people with their problems.
Yeah.
Well, I always feel like we're helping people integrate DTFs into their existing business, and
Yeah.
But what's
those
the
core
reason
skills
they
it
need to
takes.
integrate DTFs?
Well, from Terry's perspective, like cutting your staff, like not cutting, you didn't cut your staff, Terry, but you kept your same staff and tripled your business in less than 12
Yeah.
months when you
Right.
switched
So
to
the
DTF.
problem is growth, economical growth, and this is a tool that provides people easy access to the use of DTF, right? And so that was the problem we helped them solve. I mean, in reality, I think if they're curious about utilizing direct to film DTF stuff, I don't think there's a problem we cannot help them with in their business.
Yeah. And there's a lot
From
of
end to end.
Terry's been kind of a superpower because like the whole thing from the very beginning was somebody who has a pretty good business already, went through the process, bought your own printer, then bought more printers and then bought more printers and then like all of a sudden starts doing printing for other people because they're asking for it. And then we start doing this and we're sort of yet another DTF service provider. But I
Yeah.
think the fact that like, you've been doing this for so long professionally, and then, I was able to bring the kind of, I don't know if I should say this, the
Technology under the
Silicon
hood.
Valley sort of
Yeah.
mindset to it in a way, the startup mindset to it in a way where
Yeah.
we were like, look, let's roll back to first principles. Let's talk about like, what is it we're doing? Why are we doing it? Like, let's make sure that we make all of our feature decisions and all of our business decisions based on what we feel like are the important first principles for people doing this, like quality, ease of use, like all these things we decided were really important. Like, let's be a tool, not just a website. We made these decisions, and now we've made this
Let's make
movie
it the
and going to the
best. Yeah.
show. I guess I'm in a way I almost feel a little anxiety, a little nervousness because I'm like, okay, we made this movie. I
You
hope
better
people love
check your
it.
blood
I hope people
pressure.
love it. I hope people like it. So
I mean, I was that skeptic in the beginning too, though. When I even got my first DTF machine, I kept my screen printing wheels for a year, because I was like, I don't know. I want to back up. I want to have this. I want to have that. So I am that person that's going to be coming up to that booth this week that, is a screen printer and I'm skeptical and I'm not just going to full out go. I did that for a year until I got rid of my screen printing equipment.
Have you
Yes.
guys ever watched How I Met Your Mother?
no,
Yes, I have.
it's a good.
Okay,
Should
so
I?
I feel like we need a life-size cutout of Terry, and the sign will say like, "Have you met Terry?" Like, have you met Ted?
Oh. I mean, the thing is, it's like too. It's like I talked to one of the people just close to me that gets DTFs for me, and she texted me on the phone. She's like, "Hey, my screen printer's having shoulder surgery this week. You met her, Paul, when you were up here in
Oh my
Iowa,
God, I
over here in
know.
Iowa. She's having screen printing surgery this week, and we have state wrestling beginning of February. Can you
What are
get
we
me
gonna
DTF?"
do?
Yeah, what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Well, she texts me and she's like, "Yep, if I put an order in this day, can I have it by this date?" Well, yeah, you're 10 miles from the shop,
Well, I
you
guess
know.
too, this is where this seems to be a common thread. So if anybody's coming to the show, AJ is a clinical
There you
PhD in
go.
physical therapy and used to do sales for orthopedic surgical
Yeah.
devices. So come by and get some of the PhD level. Should we set up? It's not too late for us to get a massage chair, AJ.
Oh God.
Oh, that is
I mean,
a
I'll be tired, so if people are willing to give me one, I'm
it
fine with
is
it.
one reason I started doing what I'm doing with DTF. It's the lady that is my office manager, ran another screen printing business for 30 years and has two shoulder replacements, and now the other lady down the road is having shoulder replacement. I mean, it is a common thread too amongst us as well, because of the repetitive of what we did. So,
Yeah.
yes, we'll get AJ a t-shirt for that.
Whereas AJ, like when I went to Terry's shop for the first time, I'm not even kidding. Like
Oh no, let's
things are
not do
coming.
this.
No, I have to tell this.
Like, how
Oh,
long? How long ago are we talking?
we're
Uh,
talking. I have a
over
picture of that
Christmas. Over
time.
Christmas. No,
Oh
like
wait, no,
back.
I
Or
thought you were
that?
going way back.
No,
Sorry.
you go into the shop and there's like a TV on a TV stand with Netflix running, and it's like here's the DTF, here's the shirts and the DTFs on the table like coming through, and like the people pressing them, they have the best job in the world. They literally have seen every Netflix show because it's just like Netflix is constantly running here, so they're like watching movies and doing this. And then the heat presses you have are the hydraulic ones, so it's like you put it on,
Yeah.
it's like, or the air compressor ones, you put it on, psh, you wait, you peel, you fold, psh, and you just like, I mean,
Yeah.
you just get to
Do you guys
watch.
sing songs or anything? I could just feel like, it'd be kind of sweet, like
Oh,
Tuesday
that is the
afternoon
embroidery
sing-alongs.
room. If you do go into the embroidery room, the music blares out from the door, and if you walk past, there could be some dancing going on. Yes. So
Yeah,
Way more fun than I.
we try to keep it fun. We try to keep it, everybody has their own style.
literally, her embroidery person takes bribes and beer to to put orders in front of other orders. Like, here's a 24 pack of Coors Light, and then
Nope, Bud
like
Light, Bud
Bud
Light.
Light, sorry,
Yeah.
and then you get your order
And
earlier
the
with
funny thing
that.
is, she's been in the area and doing this for 20 some years. So we literally have customers that will walk in during Christmas just carrying 12 packs
Beer.
cases of beer, walking in the door.
It,
They
it,
know. They
tell
know.
me she drinks it while she does it though, at least.
Well,
You guys have like a
I
one
don't
beer an
know. Is
hour rule.
We
OSHA
don't want no
watching?
OSHA. Let's not get it inspected by OSHA. Thank you.
Yeah, let's not do
Oh,
that.
she takes a 5 minute beer chug break every hour out in her car, so it's outside, not under your standard, right?
We don't know
Just
that,
kidding.
and if that's happening,
La 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 la
we
la
don't know about it.
la.
Don't no don't make me do any
Oh,
editing.
I have the best employees in the world, so
Uh, yeah,
I have the best coworkers in the world for most of my jobs.
yeah.
married to one of them.
Yeah, it's true. I forgot about her.
Dude.
That's wrong.
Well,
Wasn't the job I was thinking of, but yeah, I got you.
oh my God. Well, I think
Hey,
go ahead.
sorry.
What? Huh?
Is there anything? What the hell was I gonna ask you? I forgot. Never mind.
I don't
Been
know.
that kind of week. It's been that week. Welcome to this week.
Yeah.
But in the end of the week, everything turned out amazing. So
Is next week gonna be like are we doing next Friday? Just so our listeners know what
Yeah.
to expect.
Oh,
yeah,
totally.
totally.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
mean, I preferred it on Thursday because then I'm gonna put it out every Friday. So now because we're doing
Yeah.
this on Friday, I need to like edit it and then like get it up on
Wow.
YouTube and get it
This
out
last
on.
Thursday wouldn't have worked for me. I had a new machine getting put in and trained on, and it was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, so we're planning to kind of like every Friday, and then we said we're still trying to come up with the podcast name for now. It's just the Demand Prints Podcast. Maybe that'll stick. I don't know. Let's see. And
I'm gonna have it
Forget to
add
smash.
on next week with a proposed name. So just
yeah,
Don't forget to smash that subscribe button and
yeah,
leave us a 5-star review if you enjoyed it.
maybe come up
yeah,
with a few ideas for the name. Yeah.
yeah. Well, we're thinking about names too, because Terry, we talked about this for just a minute. Uh, this isn't supposed to be like a tutorial podcast where you're gonna expect to just learn something. It's more, I guess what we really hope comes out of this, at least in my mind, is this is just life in the shop every
Yeah.
week, and
Just vibing.
It's real.
that's it,
I mean, this is
Uh
Just vibing.
yeah. And Terry's like, what are we gonna talk about today? I'm like, man, we had a tough week. There's gonna be plenty of stuff to talk about.
well, when you asked me that, I was going 90 mile an hour, and you said just keep it for the podcast. So
I did. I told you just to save for the podcast. I'm glad you did. And it's fun doing this. So we'll keep doing it. But
yeah,
I guess that is should we call it?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
stop recording.
All right. All right, guys. I'm actually gonna stop recording it here. Hold on, I just gotta find the button. And let me see. There it is. Bye everybody.
Wait. I got a question
What?
since you're here.
Jeez.
What time tomorrow do you think we could do the mock setup, or Sunday, or what are you
We're
thinking?
still recording, by the way.
Well, you just said you turned it off.
No,
Jeez, Paul,
I'm gonna
get
turn
it
it off now.
together.
Bye everybody. Okay, we're gonna turn it
All
off.
right, bye.